Greetings from the Tower of Lepanto. This is Father Angelo Mary for Standing Fast, a weekly commentary on Catholic life in the public square. 2 videos ago I talked about the virtues of chivalry, namely fidelity, honesty, courtesy, prowess or strength, and generosity. And that last virtue, generosity, I just really kind of touched upon at the very end. And then the next video, the last video, I talked about the kingship of Christ and the reclaiming of fatherhood. Men need to reclaim their authority and their headship of the family. And on that video I got a response from one gentleman asking me to say something about single men. And I was thinking that the 2 last videos really go together when it comes to single men, because single men are also called to exercise their paternity in the sense that they should use their strength, their virtue, their manliness in order to secure the good and the welfare of the common man, to work for the common good. And really that's the spiritual works of mercy, and that's what generosity, the virtue of generosity, is all about. Generosity for a father and a family is to take care of his children and to forget himself, to be the head of the family and sacrifice himself for the family like Christ did for his bride, the church. For a single man, he can do that too. He has the freedom to spend himself on the corporal and the spiritual works of mercy. Everyone is called to do that, not just people who are single or religious. We know that many religious are dedicated to the works of mercy, but those who are unmarried have that facility and that grace to spend themselves in that generous way for the good of those who are in need. I know a lot of single people, single men especially, who sometimes feel themselves in limbo. It's as though if you're married, you have a vocation. Your vocation is to be a husband and a father. And if you're religious, your vocation is to be consecrated to God through the vows of poverty, chastity, and obedience. If you're a priest, your vocation is to serve the people of God as a priest of Jesus Christ. But if you're unmarried, you're sort of in between, in limbo. And we know from the Catechism that that's not true. There are people who are called to remain single in the world, and very often, though, they feel as though they're in limbo. They don't know where to go. But sometimes God does call people to the single state, and they are called to exercise the virtue of generosity in that context. And because they're unmarried, because they are not in a religious community or under the obedience of a bishop to serve the needs of the church, they are free to do what they're inspired to do, but they also quite rightly respond spontaneously, or should respond spontaneously to the grace of generosity and apply themselves to the corporal and spiritual works of mercy, feeding the hungry, giving drink to the thirsty, clothing the naked, setting captives free, sheltering the homeless, visiting the sick, burying the dead, and the spiritual works of mercy, admonishing sinners, instructing the ignorant, counseling the doubtful, comforting the sorrowful, bearing wrongs patiently, forgiving all injuries, and praying for the living and the dead. These are the works of mercy to which all of us are called to apply ourselves. Now, we understand in Catholic social teaching that our works of mercy, our generosity, the social attitude of the Church and of individual Catholics should be to get our hands into the work and take care of those who are in need around us, our family members, the members of our church, the members of our community, the people around us. Just the other day, some of our friends here in Connecticut had a disaster in their home burned down, and everyone, has come out from the community, the Catholic parish nearby, the Protestant parish nearby, here at the friary, and all around to take care of this family who has had this tragedy. And we are called to apply ourselves hands-on to the needs of the poor and the sick and those who are otherwise needy. But we're also called to work for a more just social order. And so those who are single, can apply themselves to these things in a very generous way, exercising that virtue of generosity, and single men in a particular way as an expression of their virility, of their manliness. There are many obstacles to the common good and the general welfare of people, and there's people around us who are in need, and in general our society is in need from a social and political point of view. And it is within our means to address those issues and overcome the obstacles that stand in the way of the common good, putting ourselves out into the public square, speaking the truth, taking care of those who are in need, and working for a more just social order. One example that comes to mind of relatively recent example is that of Blessed Pier Giorgio Frassati, who came from a wealthy family in Italy. He was born in 1901 and died only at 24 years of age in 1925. A man who was a very intelligent individual, went to college, was a student, was very active, athletic, mountain climber, but who in his very short life, instead of just looking out for his own interests, and he was wealthy, came from a wealthy family, he was taking care of the poor. It was found out that as he was dying, he had a little register of the people that he used to take care of and what he would do for them, and he handed that register on to one of his relatives to make sure that those people that he had been taken care of during his life would be cared for after he was gone. But he wasn't only just a hands-on person with individuals that he knew and that he found, but he was also very much working for the common good and for a just social order. He was an anti-fascist, and he was a student and demonstrated against the fascists and wrote articles against the social ills of his time, and was very politically active in the work that and the opportunity that he had to work for the good of the church. So, single men, you can reclaim also your fatherhood and work in the church as an instrument of Christ the King by dedicating yourselves to the corporal and spiritual works of mercy. Until the next time, be worthy knights and servants of Our Lady St. Mary, and keep the faith. God bless you, and Ave Maria.